Good evening, everyone. This is Gary Bennett at Excel Me. Welcome to Objective C for Absolute Beginners. Tonight we're going to be talking about our second part of learning the new Xcode for IDE. Well, our last presentation that we had on YouTube, we talked about some of the basic new features of it. We're going to delve a little bit deeper into projects and doing builds with the new Xcode. And if we have some time, we might do some things with Interface Builder. And in part 3, which we'll talk about next Wednesday, we'll build an app and show you how to save a lot of time with some of the new Xcode 4 features. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll go ahead and bring up our handy Xcode IDE, and we'll start off with a brand new project. I'm going to say File, New Project, and I'll just do a view-based application for this evening. Keep it simple, and I'll name this one, leave that like that for now. And we have the option here to do an iPhone, iPad, universal too if we wanted to do that, but we're not going to do that, and I'll just save it to my desktop, and we're good. All right, the main thing I wanted to go over tonight was our project and our project settings. To navigate to the project settings, we simply want to click here up top on our project. So let's say we're down inside of one of our views or our delegate, and we want to go and look at our project settings and build settings here. We can go ahead and click on the project, and then we can go ahead and see what, if we have any icon files for it, if it's a retina display or if it's a regular display, what orientations that we're selecting, what is the main interface file for the entry from the app delegate into our app, and what we're building, what our build type is for our deployment. Well, also up here at the top, we have our different types of ways that we can run this application. We can run it in the on our device. In this case, it's the iPhone. We can also run it in the iPad simulator or the iPhone simulator, either one. Well, you might be asking, well, what about debug and release, Gary? How do I do debug and release builds? Well, Xcode 4 has a new paradigm called schemes. And the schemes allow us we can have several different schemes, or we can manage the existing scheme that we're in order to specify, do we want to do a debug or release, any type of arguments that we might want to add. I will show you how to add an argument that basically allows you to strip out all of your NSLog comments just on the release builds. I'll show you how to do that one evening as well. And then any type of diagnostic stuff if you're doing this is more on the Mac side of things. If we're building Mac apps, but it's here as well. So if you want to do a release build, you would go ahead and set that for release or distribution build or an ad hoc build you do here. And then what type of debugger you want, which is going to be the GDB debugger. All right, so here we're looking at if I was going to do a debug or if I was going to do a release build, a test, build, profile, analyze, and archive. Well, so here's how we would change that from a debug to a release build, stripping out all of our symbols, or potentially doing a distribution build to submit to the App Store. Also, if we click and hold on Run, we get the options to do our normal run and then to test, profile, and analyze. And I'll show you what those mean a little bit later. These basically allow you to profile your code to see where you have any bottlenecks in your code, where the main part of the CPU, there's anything that's really CPU intensive, you can see that in the profiler. I'll also show you how to check for memory leaks coming up. I want to keep these to about 5-10 minute YouTube videos. All right. Also here, when I click up here on the project, I have the access to go and look at any of my info from my info.plist, and I'm able to look here and see what things are set at. I can go ahead and add, supported interfaces, or go ahead and add different values, add a row if I wanted to add a row to this, and change its key, etc. is all done here. Here's my different build settings for my project if I'm going to do a debug or release in any different types of project, any type of a build settings I want. You do want to make sure that this is a LLVM GCC 4.2, I'm sorry, LVM compiler, not GCC 2.0. That's what we want that set to. This is the new compiler that's out now, and it allows us to use Fixit and gives us about, on average, 20% increase in the performance of our code by using the LLVM compiler over the GCC compiler. So you want to make sure that that's set as well for all your different builds. And if you want to go ahead and change your deployment target, you can change that. Say you want to support iOS 4.0 and above. Which base SDK do you want to use? Which you normally always want that set to latest. And then unless you really know what you're doing on compiler optimization, I would not recommend changing anything else on the compiler, because especially when you're stepping through your code and you're trying to debug, you start messing with these compiler optimization settings, you'll be stepping through and you'll notice it won't step through your code correctly. It will go maybe jump 5 lines down or the line above and repeat the line that you're on as you're stepping through the code. That's because the compiler optimization and how the symbols got generated when you did your debug build aren't lining up correctly. So, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. On our next session, part 3 of learning Xcode 4.0, we're going to go ahead and build an application, and we'll see how Xcode 4 can save us a lot of typing and really speed our software development, especially using Interface Builder. Thanks for joining us tonight. I hope you can join us anytime on at excelme.com, and feel free to try out our courses as well. Thanks a lot for joining, and those of you that are attending live tonight, I'm going to stop the recording and allow you to ask any questions tonight. Thanks, everybody, and good night.